What's up, guys? Today we're taking a look at a new CPU cooler from Reeven. It is their Justice, and this is a single tower cooler with a 120 millimeter PWM fan. So let's go ahead and take a look. Taking a look at the retail box itself, we have a lot of information. It's kind of weird that the actual back of the box is more or less designed like the front. So we have a picture of the unit here. It lets us know that it supports Core i3, i5, i7. It says Haswell ready on there. 120 millimeter fan. And it has your compatibility down here. This is compatible with AMD as well. So you have all of that compatibility. On the side, it lists some of the main features here. If we go to the other side, we have a caution and lets you know some of the things you shouldn't do with this cooler. And then on the back here, we have, it looks like, a full list of specifications, and they're in quite a lot of different languages. And we have a full overview of the cooler giving its specifications. That's really good because if you're working with a size constraint inside your case, you want to know how big this cooler is. So you have that right there on the box. Getting everything out of the box, we have the cooler itself with the fan pre-installed. We have our manual here, which of course is going to show you how to go ahead and get everything installed and get the cooler in your system. We have these extra set of fan attachments, and you can see these are a lot different than the typical fan clips that we see, so we'll go over that in our full review. We have all of our mounting hardware for both AMD and Intel, and we have our thermal paste here. Now, the thermal paste does come in this bag. I would have liked to see a syringe. Usually a syringe just makes it easier to go ahead and apply your thermal paste. Taking a look at the cooler itself, you can see that this is actually a single tower cooler. So we have one cooling stack. This is a very popular design. We see a lot of single tower coolers out there. They're really great because they don't take up a whole lot of room, and because it is a dense fin stack, we see really great performance here. So move back to the front here, we have our cooling fan, and this is a 120 millimeter cooling fan from Reeven. It does have the Reeven logo here in the middle, and of course we have that black and gold design, which we know them for. And as I said, it attaches via these little plastic attachment, I don't even know what you want to call them, but they should make it pretty easy to attach and make it very easy to get your fan on there. I don't believe you'll have to remove your fan for installation, which is great. So you're already ready to go. So it's great that they've already pre-installed the fan. And another thing that's cool about the fan, if we look at it from this way, you can see the arrows that are on the fan that tell you the direction of the airflow, which is good. So if you do happen to remove the fan, or you want to move the fan to the other side or something like that, you know the direction of the airflow. It's really important in a lot of companies. There's a few that do them, but it's really great to see them on here just because you want to know the direction of that airflow. And if we take a look here, you can see we do have the logo up there, which is look pretty cool. And of course, this is going to show out if you have a window in your case. Now, taking a look at the fin stack, as I said, it is a very dense fin stack in there, as you can see. Aluminum fins here, but very dense fin stack, which should make it a really good and high performance cooler. You can see the heat pipes that are actually going up through the actual tower here. And if we move over, we can take a look at these heat pipes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And all 6 of these heat pipes, if we turn it over this way, as you can see, go into the base of the cooler itself. So they go up, and they go up in sort of a U design. So technically, we actually have 12 heat pipes that are going up into the cooler. So again, the heat comes from your CPU down here. It's going to transfer that heat to the base here, which is a all copper base, and you have these copper heat pipes that are going to help transfer that heat up into the heatsink. And of course, our fan is going to dissipate all of that heat. Now I'll go ahead and remove the little plastic covering here and take a look at the base, and wow, this is almost a mirror-like base. It's going to be really hard to see in the video, but the base of the cooler is really nice. And the reason why that's important, as I put this back on here, The reason why that having a good base is important is because you want to make proper contact with your CPU. The clearer and better base that you have, the better contact it's going to make, and then the better heat transfer you're going to go ahead and have here. So again, just a great cooler. It's not overly large, which is good, so it's going to make it compatible with a lot of systems. And again, you do have the 120mm fan, but again, you have the option to add a secondary one, or even just move this fan to the back if you want. Installation of the Justice Cooler is actually really easy, and it's going to be especially easy if you've installed a current Reeven CPU cooler, because they use the same mounting system on most of their new coolers. So we're going to be installing on our Z97 system, which is the Intel LGA 1150 socket. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and find our backplate, and we're going to attach the 4 backplate bolts to the backplate and use the silicone washers that are included. From there, we're going to go ahead and take that backplate and install it on the back side of our motherboard, pushing those backplate bolts through to the front of our motherboard. Now we're going to go ahead and move over to the front of the motherboard, and we're going to find the included 4 plastic spacers, and we're going to put those spacers on the backplate bolts. Now you're going to go ahead and find your mounting bracket, and what you're going to do with the mounting bracket is you're going to line up the bolts in the backplate with the mounting bracket, and then Reeven includes 4 nuts that you go ahead and use to secure and attach the mounting plate. And they do include a little wrench, so you can go ahead and tighten those up nice and tight so you don't have to worry about anything being really loose or anything like that. Now we move on to installing the mounting bar on the CPU cooler. So what you want to do is you want to take your cooler and you want to take the included mounting bar and install it under the cooler. It has a little spacing there, so you can go ahead and install it. Now I found it much easier to go ahead and install the screws with the mounting bar, as you see in the photo. It just makes it much easier because once you have the cooler on top of your CPU, there's not a lot of room to go ahead and put those screws in. So I found it easier just to go ahead, put the screws on like you see in the photo, and then carefully put the CPU cooler onto your CPU. So, and once you have it like this, go ahead and install your thermal paste, which is included. Put that on your CPU. Then take the cooler and very carefully place it on your CPU. Make sure everything is lined up. Now, once you have it on your CPU, go ahead and take a screwdriver. Now, Reeven doesn't include a screwdriver, and you're going to need a screwdriver that is 160 millimeters long or longer to go ahead and finish installation. So once you have that screwdriver, you place it down through the top of the cooler, making sure it lines up with your screw. And then once you have it lined up, you can go ahead and secure each side, and you're pretty much good to go. All you have to do now is just connect the fan, and you're ready to go ahead and turn on your system. Moving on to testing, as I said, this is installed in our Z97 system. So that system is made up of an Intel Core i7 4790K processor, Asus's Z97A motherboard, a Zotac GeForce GTX 980 Ti amp, 16 gigabytes of Kingston's 10th anniversary memory, the Be Quiet Dark Power Pro 11 CPU cooler, a 120 gigabyte Samsung 840 Evo. Of course, we do have the Reeven Justice as our CPU cooler, and then everything is inside Cooler Master's Master Case 5, and it does have 2 included fans. For testing, we're going to start with our idle temperature test, and this temperature test is taken on the Windows 10 desktop with nothing running whatsoever. So as you can see, we have our worst idle temperature test, but again, this really isn't a big deal because with idle temperature test, that's not really testing the performance of the cooler. That's just how well it's cooling at its base mode. So we really can kind of throw the idle temperature test out the window, really. The only time we see super bad idle temperature tests if it's a cooler that doesn't have a fan, but this does really good. I mean, 30 degrees still is really great for idle. Now we're going to go ahead and move over to load here, and load is, we put 100% load on the CPU using Prime 95, and we do that for 1 hour, and then we take the temperature at the 1 hour mark. So for here, we have really great results here. If you look at all the coolers that are in our test group, they're all high performance coolers. And you can see for only being a single tower cooler with a single 120 millimeter fan, we still have really great results. All of these coolers are within a few degrees of each other. So 60 degrees Celsius at 100% load isn't that bad whatsoever. So this wraps it up for our review of the Reeven Justice CPU cooler. Now, if you have any questions about installation, performance, or anything like that, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Until next time, catch you guys later.